a bit with what I did yesterday. Oh, where is the lady who suggests me that Plato used? Yes? I owe you a thanks. I'm going to put it into the paper later on because that went out of my mind. Thank you. So, I'm not, yes. Mythology may also be understood as the study of a particular myth. We are catching up with yesterday's. So those who were asleep, you can now be awake. Mythology may also be understood as the study of a particular myth. Exempli gratia in Latin, for example, e.g. Egyptian mythology, Greek mythology, Roman mythology, to quote a few that pervaded the composite culture of the former Roman Empire. You see, the Roman Empire has been such a thing. I think it could be only compared with the Mughal Empire. Mongol Empire. Except that Roman Empire lasted for 7 centuries if you add the Oriental Roman Empire. So that's a huge time and a huge area. Parts of Asia, parts of Africa, the whole of Europe. That's a big, big thing. And the composite, I call it composite, that is complex, with several influences of official Roman religion and culture, was a blend of so many other religions actually. The last one being Christianism, the last one. Even Christianism was very deeply modified by Greek and Latin. Can you imagine? Catholicism has its capital in Rome, not in Jerusalem. So, myth, before they are fixed in a definite literary form, myth may vary greatly. You see, when you asked me, so who decides that the hero shall be so and so? People decide. And then the singers, they decide. You see? And it depends also on the dominating power. You want to please the king. So you have a hero that more or less is a portrait of the king. Or that's it. So myth may vary greatly from one region to another, or from one historical narrative to another according to the national bias. I have chosen one myth here to make it clear, and besides it's a very well-known one. It is in the Aeneid, it is also in the Odyssey, the myth of the 12 labors of Heracles. Hercules in English, Heracles in Greek. It has been the source of countless literary adaptations, paintings, engraving with an S, and naturally multiple cinema adaptations, particularly Italian cinema. In the days of fascism, that is up to 1944, from 1920 up to the 1944, Italy was dominated by a fascist regime. You see, one chief, one country, one language, and nothing else. Don't move an eye. It was not a joke. I have known fascism in Spain when I was very young, so I can tell you it was very hard. Fascism would need Italian fascism would need Roman ideology, Roman Empire. They had a very typical trick in Africa when they invaded Libya. The Italian troops, they would do this, they would just scratch the sand here and take out of coin, Roman coin that they had previously buried, and show the coin and tell the good people, look, we are here at home. So you can imagine the head of the Africans. So the political use of Roman and Greco-Roman mythology was very important for fascism in Italy. And they made multiple films and adaptation, especially the cycle of Hercules. You see, because more or less Hercules was Mussolini, more or less. I'm afraid this is not beautiful. Well, let me read it so that, and comment it a bit. Hercules, one of the most famous Greco-Roman legendary heroes. Traditionally, Heracles was the son of Zeus, Jupiter. Roman Jupiter, and Alcmene, granddaughter of Perseus. Perseus, another mythological hero. Zeus swore that the next son, born of the Perseid house, should become ruler of Greece. But by a trick of Zeus' jealous wife, wives are bad. They are bad. You never know what they do in the kitchen. So Hera, in Roman tradition, Juno, she managed to have another child, the sickly Eurystheus, born first and became king of Greece. Jupiter was not pleased. When Heracles grew up, he had to serve Eurystheus and also suffer the vengeful persecution of Juno, Hera. But he was a hero. He was a semi-god. His first big labor, his first exploit, his first big deed was the strangling of two serpents, two snakes that had been sent to kill him in his cradle. Baby Hercules, he kills the two snakes just like that in his cradle. What a baby. It was Eurystheus who imposed, because the sickly brother was jealous of the healthy one. So he imposed upon Heracles the famous labors, later arranged in a cycle of 12 labors. So I'm just enumerating them. The slaying of the Nemean lion, So Heracles was so good. There was a lion, huge lion. It was everybody's terror. You would say, hey, mujhe na maro. No. Heracles comes to the lion, opens the mouth and crack. And then he takes out the skin of the lion, drapes himself. Now he is well dressed. He was naked before. So there are so many deeds, He captures a villain, Cacus, etc. He he was capable of, he also went to hells. Why not? And in the gate of the hells, there is a dog with 3 heads, Cerberus, 3 heads. And the living people who dare to come, they are eaten up and they become dead. Not Hercules. He took the dog like this and he walked the dog around. I'm exaggerating a bit, but Hercules is all exaggeration anyway. So he is the prototype of the positive hero. He's a fighter and a warrior of divine origins who is fighting for a just cause. This is a picture. Is it clear enough? Can you see it? Even there, can you see it? Yes? So, it's a 17th century picture. A French one, by the way. See here, the baby, he has strangled 2 snakes. Now you can see the adaptation of Roman antiquity. We are in a bourgeois house in 16th century. And here you can see the town outside, which is very much a European castle. Now the lion here is dead, but here it is what he did to the lion. See, he opens the mouth and then he will take the hide of the lion and hide himself. The source is Gallica, the French National Library. In the Greek mythology, sorry, I forgot to translate this. In the Greek mythology, the labor of Hercules, Heracles, they are also called the 12 hard labors. In Greek, Dodeca Atlos. Dodeca, you perhaps know do for 2, right? Deca, like a decade. And Atlas, athletic games, Atlas. Dodecathlon, the 12 exploits, the 12 labors. They are carried on by the hero Heracles because of his jealous brother. And it is one of the most famous story from Greek mythology. And it is in almost every epics. It has been recycled countless times, including Italian cinema, like I quoted. Now, this I do not repeat, but you can have a quick reading if you like. Yes. This this is what I told you yesterday.
He's a technician. He will take care.
Okay, thank you. So, you are going back to the VCs?
Yes.
À tout à l'heure. À tout à l'heure means see you soon. I hope. Now, these two pictures, I will reuse them. I have to control my computer. It's difficult to control when it is linked to that terrible machine. No, no, it is, I cut it myself.
No, I know, sir.
Don't you worry. So, I'm now going into the crux of the matter, the Aeneid. I have chosen to give you a summary, and later on I will insist on some important points of the epics. My I have to switch off my computer because is just 1 second. Yes. I forgot one thing. These two books, I bought, one of them I bought it this time and the other one last year, and I forgot to circulate this. So these books are available in India. One is the Aeneid in English, beautiful translation, and this is the Iliad and Odyssey, by whom you know. But the translation is old, quite old. Nevertheless, it is useful. So circulate it. Do not tear the pages that you like. You may take a photograph. That's all. Yes. not to lose any time, I have here a beautiful computer. Yes, the first thing I will tell you about is the life of Virgile. Because, oh, now it has come back normally. Yes. So, Virgile was supposedly a man of humble origins. Actually, you see, he is the Roman author, the best known ever Roman author. We had, I don't know how many, there are perhaps at least 100 of famous Roman Latin authors. So many. And I'm not counting the Christian ones. Only from the Greco-Roman period. So many. I have, at home, I have several volumes only about the history of Latin literature, like this, you know. They are both in Latin and French, but it tells you it's a huge domain. अब आ चुका है. So, आ रहा है. कमाल है ना. Oh. Yes. So, Vita Virgiliana, Pars Una, Life of Virgil, Part 1. I left it in Latin. My source is in Latin, combined with French. I have so many books about it. And tomorrow I'll give you a good bibliography. Please remind me, because I forgot to bring it. So, Virgil, author of the great Latin epics, the Aeneid, is probably among the many Latin writers and composers the one whose life is best known. Contrary to the Greek writer Homer, composer of the Iliad and Odyssey, of whom hardly anything is known except whatever his epics might tell, we had lots and lots of research about it, but still it remains a mystery. We have many Greek and Roman legends about Homer, but they contradict each other. We do not have any solid ground. As far as Virgil is concerned, it's the contrary. We have too many historical facts and too many chronicles and stories. Some of them are fake also. It is sometimes difficult to make out what is true and what is not. Indeed, soon after Virgil's death, I hope I'm not disturbing. So, soon after Virgil's death, he was venerated like a semi-god. And his tomb was visited like a temple for centuries. You see, I have in French culture, I have another example of a poet, Victor Hugo. Victor Hugo is the only French author who, while he was alive, he had a street in Paris bearing his name. He had become also kind of semi-god. So Virgile, in his life, he was so close to the emperor, he was immensely famous, especially a few years before his death, when more or less his poem was finished. His biographers have added many fantastic and magic anecdotes surrounding his birth and life, just like Hercules. So Virgil of humble origin was born on 15th October BC. Now, when we have before Christ era, the years go decreasing. You're aware of this. In a village, probably Andes, near the city of Mantua, in the valley of river Mancio. Mantua being in those days the intellectual capital of Lombardy, northern Italy. Is whatever I say, is it clear? Yes? Because I have to say that I dislike when people follow on their computer something else. He was the third child of his mother, Magia, and father, Virgilius. Virgilius, his father, was in the employment of a landed nobleman named Magius, who gave his daughter Hans Magia to his servant Virgilius. So, young Virgilius grew in a rural and agrarian environment, something he never forgot. His father, he lost. He lost his father very early, did not come to know him, and his mother remarried, thus having a better social position. His full name was Publius. Now, the Latins, they had three names, the Romans. That praenomen, the first name, and that was a kind of nickname. Like Septimus was the seventh child. Claudius was the one who limps. You know, a little child, he may limp, etc. Publius was just the son of the people. Like, remember, public? And Virgilius was his nomen, his father's name. Virgilius, we are not very clear about it. It may mean the little tree or the verge, the little verge. And Maro, the cognomen, that is the name of the extended family, say the tribe also. We do not know the meaning of that word. I mean, for the moment, I don't know. Later, his name was transcribed as Virgilius. In spite of his long sojourn in Rome and near the imperial court of Augustus, he never forgot his rural environment. His village on the river Mancio. Nature is always important in his poetry, even in the famous and heroic epics, the Aeneid. In those early years, he must have had a magister, a master. Magister in Latin is magister. Magis is like the Sanskrit maha, great. Magister, the one who stands great. Well, schoolmaster. At home up to the age of 12, he had a magister, probably. From that age, he studied for a moment in Milano, northern Italy, and then went to Rome, the opposite side, you know, from north to south. In those days, it was a big thing to go to the capital. He studied there from the age of 12 to 15 years. He then was dressed in his toga virilis. Toga means a mantle, like a sari, without being sewn or cut. It was one piece. Do whatever you can with it, and then, you know. So, children did not have a toga, but at the age of 15, the Roman civilization is not very kind to women. So the toga virilis, that is the clothing for the man, the young man, was given to him, a white one, in a kind of ceremony, and that would be the end of his real studies. After that, he wanted to become an orator. To become an orator was kind of lawyer also, and if you were a good orator, a good lawyer, you could go close to the power, the political power. So he wanted to try that. He studied rhetorics, the art of orator, under the ferula. Oh, do you know what a ferula is? Any idea? So I'll tell you. What is a master without a ferula? No, baton. Laat. Khabardar. You know, when I was young at school, the school mistress, she had such a long one, she could reach the last one. So, ferula in Latin means doing a small wound. Very serious. So, under the ferula of a rhetor, Marcus Epidius, but young Virgilius never had the capacity of imposing himself as an orator. First of all, he was quite small. Secondly, his voice was not very strong, and perhaps he did not like the job. Anyway, his first public pleading was a failure, which he compensated by turning his attention to poetry, and first satirical poetry or epigram, from the Greek epigramma. Epi in Greek means on something. You know what epidemics is? Epidemics. Dangerous disease. So it means on the people, falling on the people. Demos in Greek is the people. So epigramma is right on somebody. Satire. So what he took revenge from his master. He wrote a satirical poem about him, without naming him, but everybody knew. So he turns to poetry and tried to have his luck in poetry. That means you have to find a patron. He must have been in his 20s after his failure as an orator. And then he, after his epigrams, he turned to eclogues. Echo in Greek means green, ecology. This course on greenery. So he wrote poems about nature, about agriculture, and made his name. But he had a trouble, you know, because in those days there was a civil war in Rome. And he took the wrong side. And the power that be wanted to confiscate his heritage, his big villa and latifundium, big fields. So he was under the threat of confiscation. So he ran to Rome and then said to the imperial court, "Here I am at your service." And he proposed to write a song, epics to the glory of the emperor, the Aeneid. In order to please the newly established court of Rome, he started to compose the Aeneid. He worked for 12 years, practically to the day of his death. He did recite parts of it in front of the imperial couple, but never declared it was finished. And there's a good reason for it. You see, the Aeneid has only 12 books. He wanted to emulate. In those days, it was good to copy the classics, you see? He wanted to surpass Homer. So, in his initial views, 12 books was only half of it, because the Odyssey is 24 books. Unfortunately, it proved too difficult for him. He didn't have a good health. And he died, if I remember, in 19 BC, before finishing his works. And when he died, he was fully alert. He told his family, "Please burn everything. Don't publish it. Don't copy it." Nobody listened. And it was copied and recopied and became very famous. It was already famous among the emperor's court. So there was no way would people obey to the last will of the author. It was kept like it is. That's why it is not really finished. Is this readable? Even from the last person in the last row? Okay. Thank you. Now, this is a classical portrait of Virgile. It's like a coin. Virgilius. You have Virgilius Maro. Now, he has a crown of laurel. Laurel is a plant, is a tree that, you know, in the Olympic Games, the only prize that you would have was a crown of laurel, of leaves. That's all. You know, perhaps you know the English word laureate? Yes? Deserving person? Hmm? So, we think that this this face is more or less faithful to his actual face. Now, please be patient. Ex ande vicino Mantuae pago oriuntus Virgilium. He was from a village near Mantua. Ilius natalis fuerunt humiles et obscuri. Says, this is Donatus. Donatus wrote the life of Virgil 3 centuries after his death. So whatever is said has to be taken with cum grano salis, with a pinch of salt. But this summary is correct. So his family was of humble origins, and in spite of being of humble origins, his clarity of mind gained the favor of the emperor. Quod fatum risarcebat ingenii claritas et Augusti favor. Poetarum princem somnium. He used to be called the prince of all poets. Excuse me. Magister sedientus. The master is thirsty. So Donatus says here that he was a poetarum princeps. Oh, you don't have a pointer?
Yes, sir.
This is a pointer?
Yeah, orange color button.
Ah, now you're talking. So, poetarum princeps omnius votis habitus. He used to be called habitus. He used to be called the prince of poets. Furente Marte eclogas composuit. So he wrote eclogues, but also poems about Furente Marte, the god of war, Mars. In quibus Theocritum imitatur. In those works, he imitates Theocritus, a Greek author. De Inde Georgica. After that, he wrote the Georgics. Now, the Georgics is a kind of manual for agriculture. He wrote, since he knew agriculture very well, so he wrote a manual to please the governor also, a manual for good agriculture. And that was in imitating a Greek poet, Hesiodus. And later, we have his Aeneid opus. Opus means work, plural opera. That took duodecim annis, 12 years, 1 year per book, 1 book per year. And this is the opinion of Donatus. Donatus says that I like best the second book, the fourth one, and the 6th one. So he would call himself Blanditu. Virgilius used to call himself the Roman Homer, very modest. Diem obeit Brindisi in Calabria natus annus quid decem unum. So he died at the age of 51 in the southern Roman city of Brindisi near Rome. He was sick during, he wanted to accompany the emperor to Greece, but didn't bear well the travel. So now the political scene. Virgil and all his generation were enthusiastic for the new order, after a period of civil war and after the assassination of Julius Caesar, Julius Caesar never declared himself king or imperator. Imperator, before the Roman Empire, during the Republic, was a title given to a general. And imperare in Latin means that you have the right to kill, just like 007. It was the first meaning of imperator. He was giving the power to kill, a great general who would take power for a moment, just for a moment, don't you worry. But some Republicans, including Caesar's adopted son, they thought that he was wanting to become a king, especially after he had an affair with the Queen of Egypt, Cleopatra. So he was killed. And we had a terrible civil war, and Octavian, who was another big general, took refuge in Egypt and then had a long affair with Cleopatra, and was also wanted to become a king, which was forbidden in Roman law. So imperator is something different, theoretically. So the new power, a prolonged dictatorship backed by the elite, the Senate, a powerful army, and a war fleet feeding the empire with continuous conquest, was needing a national imperial hero of divine origins. Aeneas, who was already known thanks to Homer's Iliad, he is mentioned there several times as a brave warrior. So you see, Aeneas is not at all a creation by Virgile. Aeneas already has his statue in Rome before Virgil, long before Virgil was born, by the way. But the genius of Virgil was to take up Aeneas and fabricate an heroic past. Aeneas, who was already known thanks to Homer's Iliad, he is mentioned there several times as a brave warrior, and was even venerated as a Trojan ancestor, conqueror of Italy, descendant of goddess Venus. Never forget that. Aeneas is a descendant of Venus, direct, his supposed mother. But, you know, Juno, the wife of Jupiter, she knows that her husband has been with Venus quite a few times. So, she has a grudge against whoever has any links with Venus. And Aeneas will be persecuted during his whole life and travels by Juno. Jupiter is embarrassed because he would not acknowledge his affairs, you know. And Juno said, "Oh, hey, that boy, who is he from?" Yes. This is life. So, Aeneas, who was already known thanks to Homer's Iliad, he is mentioned there several times as a brave warrior, and was even venerated as a Trojan ancestor and conqueror of Italy, descendant of goddess Venus, the goddess of love, and direct ancestor of the founders of Rome, Remus and Romulus, also thought to be ancestors of Julius Caesar and his adopted son Augustus. Now the present emperor, Augustus, is not the son of Caesar. He is his adopted son. Aeneas had already his statue in Rome. In addition, Virgile, because of local political rivalry, nearly lost his village and farming territory, what is called in Latin latifundius. You know, the territorial fund, latifundius. He had inherited from his mother. Going back to Rome and to the new imperial court became a necessity to regain the favor of the emperor, who had been already favorably impressed by the Georgics, a set of pedagogical poems regarding good practices in agriculture, inspired by the Greek poet Hesiod. We already know about it. Augustus, you know, he has sent that in those poems there is more to it than manual of agriculture. And talent was there. So he listened to Virgile. What did Virgile say? So here you have a summary of Aeneid. Well, now that you have a book in English, you can quickly learn it by heart. But for that, I give you a summary. Liber primus. What happens? My show is alive. Good. So, Liber Primus, Book 1. After a big storm and escaping
Orange buttons. Orange button.
Yes?
Yeah. Sir.
I was driving the wrong way, backwards. So, after a big storm and escaping from devastated Troy, Aeneas, surviving prince of the vanquished and burned city, and his fleet reached Carthage, a safe anchorage. Can anybody follow my English? Mind you, I translate from French and Latin, and it could be, well, meeting the Queen of Carthago, the beautiful Dido. Oh, you should have seen her. She was very rich. She was beautiful. She had already consumed 2 husbands. You know, yes. She had a huge palace. Well, I mean, it's difficult to resist. Liber Secundus, Book 2. The story of the Trojan horse is told at length in Liber Secundus of the Aeneid and is touched upon in the Odyssey. So, briefly, when the Greek could not vanquish the city of Troy, they thought of a stratagem. You know what is a stratagem is? A ruse, a device to kill the enemy. So they had a huge horse. You know, horse is something respected all over. You heard of Philip of Macedon, the father of Alexander? Philip, the lover of horses. Hippos in Greek means horse. Phil is loving. Philip was a common title among Greek kings. In Persian, we have exactly the same thing. We have Tamasp, the tamer of horses, as a name of emperor. So they built a big horse big enough to have 100 of good warriors. They put wheels on it, and they leave Ulysses and his warriors inside the horse. They leave the horse on the seashore, and the rest of them, they go to the boats and they go away. Not very far, but go away. So the Trojans are very happy. Oh, after 10 years, chutkara hua. We are, you see, we got rid of them. Now, what is this big horse? Must be a divinity of them. So, shall we have it in town? So they take it inside the town, you know. They have to demolish the gates, but they take it. And then they are very happy, they go to sleep. So during night, the horse opens and the army, you know, started killing everybody, putting the city to fire and sacking and devastating. And then Aeneas, he managed to flee, you know. His poor wife, Creusa, she falls and she is burnt in the house. But he saved his father, Anchises, on his back. And the father was a priest. The father was carrying a statue. Just imagine the load. And with the other hand, he was taking his young boy. He escapes, goes to his boat, and then some of his other people, you know, everybody would have a boat anyway. So they run away. Aeneas narrates to Dido the king the sack. Where is my? Oh, yes. So Aeneas narrates to Dido the king the sack and devastation of Troy. Aeneas managed to escape. His wife Creusa died in the fire. Normal. Well, I mean, wife, they are a burden. So, I told you, you see the ideology of epics is something that would not be tolerated today. Somehow you'll see, somehow they manage sometimes to have nice things for women, but very little. Aeneas managed to escape. He carried his father Anchises, who was himself carrying a statue of the god of Troy, and at the same time Aeneas was holding the hand of his son Julius, like Julius Caesar, you know, or Ascanius. So the queen is deeply moved. Who wouldn't be? Liber Tertius, Book 3, narrating Aeneas' voyages and seafaring. Liber 3 contains Aeneas' account told to Queen Dido of events both natural and supernatural, just like Ulysses, you know, that have led him to her shore and to her palace. So I'm sparing you the innumerable adventures of Aeneas. We are coming to something more crunchy. Now, Liber Quartus, Book 4, Dido and Aeneas' love affair. Dido confesses her love for Aeneas. They spend the winter together. Oh, what about official duties? Aeneas, though he regret his fate, is then forced by the gods. You know, the gods that say, hey, you have a mission. Just like in American cinema, just like in Indian cinema. You know, hero You cannot stay indefinitely in bed. So Aeneas, though he regrets his fate, his destiny, is then forced by the gods to set sail again. He has a mission. She prepares to kill herself. You know. Liber Quintus, Book 5, the funeral gales for the death of the father Anchises. Now, this is something that is very common in antique Greece. When a hero is dead, you have games in his honor. What are the games? Fighting, you know, pugilate with the fist, and running, etc. Just like Olympic Games, but they are funeral in the honor of the dead. In Sicily, where they engage in a series of competitions to commemorate the anniversary of the death of Aeneas' father, Anchises. They then set sail again. Liber Sextus, Aeneas goes into the hell. Now, this is another common picture in most classical epics. You have to go to the hell to visit your ancestors and to hear about future. You see, there Aeneas meets his father. This book is the account of Aeneas' journey to the underworld and Elysium. Elysium is the underworld. They are a kind of paradise also. Not only hell. You know, you have a nice combination. Where he meets the ghost of Dido and Anchises, among others. In this book, the destiny of Rome is revealed, the prophecy or vaticinium. Now, vaticinium, we'll talk about it tomorrow. It is, you see, in epics, you have two kinds of narration. One is narrating the past of the hero, a flashback. From the very beginning, you have a flashback. And then, when the hero visits the hell, Partal, if you see what I mean, not a nice place. But in Greek mythology, it is one part is hell, you have to go through to it, and then, if you are good, you reach the Elysium. That is a kind of paradise. It's a nice combination. And then you meet your ancestors and you meet some people who know the future, and they will tell you, oh, Rome, you will be the founder of Rome. Now stop playing with women, go ahead. So the prophecy function is something that occurs in most epics. And of course, that would please the emperor. Liber Septimus, Book 7 relates the fate of the Trojans as they reach the mouth of the Tiber River. Tibrum in Latin is a river. You know, the water is never very clear. Just like trouble, Tibrum. The present site port of Ostia, close to the present city of Rome. And they are received by Latinus. Hey, his beautiful name, Latinus, you know. The one from the coast. Latum in Latin is the coast also. You know, the seashore. Latum. Latium. the king of the region, Latium. The region is called Latium. Latins are the people of Latium. Liber Octavus, Book 8, the shield of Aeneas, description before a decisive battle. Now, in epics, it is true of Ramayana also. Before a battle, what do you have? Before a battle, you have a description of the weapons of the hero. Because, I mean, you need to know about weapons. And in Roman and Greek tradition, the shield has a special value. The shield is covered with stories, pictures. And the shield is another way to relate this epic to other epics. On Aeneas' shield, the 12 labors of Hercules are on his shield, for example. So it tells the enemy, look at my shield. See what might happen? Another important thing is insulting the enemy. You come to the fore, to your enemy, and you insult him, and he will answer back. Or you address him, you know, this is why you are going to die, because you are a villain. So we have a passage similar to the description of the shield of Achilles in the Iliad. Inter alia. Inter alia means among other things. Labors of Hercules are mentioned on the shield of Aeneas. Liber nonus, Book 9, the enemies of Trojans gather, other Latins encouraged by the gods. You see, the intervention of the gods is every critical time the gods, they assemble. So what do? Juno says, no, he should not win. Jupiter says, no, but he's deserving, you know. And the projected other Latins encouraged by the gods resent the arrival of the Trojans and the projected marriage alliance between Aeneas and Lavinia. Now, this is a political marriage, nothing to do with love. Duty. Lavinia's daughter, notable among the resentful, are Latinus' wife. You know, she doesn't like the boy. No, I prefer Turnus, the other king. Turnus is a leader of a local tribe known as the Rutuli, and therefore Lavinia's favored suitor. In Liber Decimus, Book 10, the war is, bursting. But first the gods have counsel in heavens to decide the fate of the war. Liber 11, Liber Undecimus, 11. The Trojan and their, Undecimus, very interesting. You know, where is it? Undecimus. Un is like one. Decem is like decade. 1 plus 10. Liber Duodecimus, Liber Undecimus, the Trojan and their Italian allies are fighting the great king of Rutuli, Turnus, enemy of the Latins, and the Trojans, enemy of the Trojans. Princess Camilla, we have a princess, Charles? We have a princess called Camilla. Camilla means beautiful hair. You know a comedy? A comedy, you would change your hair. Once I have young hair, I'm beautiful hero. Now I have little hair, I'm an old man. You know, comes originally in Latin was, the hairstyle. So Camilla, she has beautiful hair, but she's a strange daughter. She wants to fight. She's telling her father, look, father, I'm as good as those men. Father says, no, you won't go. Yes, I will. And she goes with her chariots and she fights like a man, better than many men. This is a very strange thing, in the Aeneid. It's quite interesting. Unfortunately, a strong woman, well, she has to fall. Or life is life, actually. She has to fall and she's killed. But still, she's a very nice character. She proves herself to be a fine warrior in spite of her father's opposite views. Liber duodecimus, the end is approaching. Liber duodecimus, 12, book 12, duo, duo, like do, twice, duo, decimus, 10. Liber duodecimus, book 12, full war breaks out, but the Trojans, with the help of the Etruscans. Now, it is interesting to know that the Trojans are not alone. This is an historical fact. We know that the Romans could never conquer Italy without local allies, the Etruscans. They prevail, and Turnus, the bad king, is killed. Good riddance. As fated, Aeneas marries Lavinia and founds Lavinium, which is supposed to be the model for the foundation of Rome. And you see the Aeneid stops here. It's a pity. He could never reach the real foundation of Rome. He just has the model of it. This is the most famous verses of the Aeneid. Aeneas, you see? A blended with E. That is a special Roman letter, Latin letter. Aeneas' Voyage and Adventures, Book 1, Liber Primus, Invocation. You see, at the beginning, you have, just like a prayer, you just say, this is what I'm going to talk about. So, arma virumque cano, Troiae qui primus aboris, Italiam fato profugus, Laviniaque venet. Wars on a man I sing, an exile driven on by fate. He was the first primus, qui primus ab oris Italian. He was the first to flee the coast of Troy, destined to reach Lavinian shores and Italian soil. Italia fato profugus. Fato profugus, that is, he is being pushed by his destiny. Fato. Fatum is destiny. Profugus, like fugitive. Many blows he took, yet many blows he took on land and sea from the gods above. You see, from the very beginning, we know that the hero will not win at every time. And many losses he has here in battle too, before he could found a city. Bring his gods to Latium, source of the Latin race, the Alban laws and the high walls of Rome. Inferetque Deus, he brings his gods, Latium, to the Latium, Latio. Genus unde Latinum, from where the Latinum race is engendered, genus. Albanique patres, and the fathers, Albans. You know, Alba was a town near New Rome, and the end of it, the town of Alba, the white city, they join Rome. Albanique patres, the fathers of Alba. Atque alta moenia Romae, and the high walls, altae like altitude, moenia like munition, here the walls, Romae of Rome. So much for the Latin lesson. Of course, you have all of you learnt by heart. Tomorrow you recite, all right? Now, this is the picture of Aeneas. We've seen it, but you know, I made it better this time. Now, what do we have here in the background? The burning of Troy. What do we have here? The child following his father. You know, he's clinging at the toga, this is a very common scene, no? You must have seen it. Or maybe you must have done it. You cling to your mother's skirts. Here the mother is no more, so he clings to the father's toga, which is, by the way, a very small one. And this is the father, Anchises, and he carries the god of the city. She resembles Athena, the goddess of Athens, you know. She has a shield, a spear, and a helmet. So here you have the entire story in Latin, I mean, summary of it. So this is Aeneas, who is escaping from burning Troy. Now, how much time do I have left? Half an hour. I'm giving you 2 minutes for a quick sleep. 2 minutes. Just, you know, you can read this. The truth is, I also need a bit of rest. Yes, you do well. You come back very quickly, you know? It's now half a minute. You come back very, very quickly, huh? 1 minute. मेरे पास पानी भी है, जो चाहे वो पिए. Okay, we start again. Please tell people to come back. Hmm? Yeah, I understand that. I have a steel bladder, you know. Thank you, thank you. Sorry, it was half a piss. Half a drunk, therefore half a piss. So, now we carry on. An important lyrical episode that nearly marred Aeneas' mission of founder of the... it's like that? Yes. Of Roman power, just like the meeting of Ulysses with the nymph Nausicaa nearly marred Ulysses' return to his island of Ithaca. You see, we have a constant parallel between the Odyssey and the by Homer. I'm a bit tired. Yes, the Iliad and the Odyssey. We have a constant parallel. Just like the meeting of Ulysses with the beautiful nymph Nausicaa nearly marred Ulysses' return to his island of Ithaca. The stay in Carthage and the love affair between Aeneas and Dido, the rich and beautiful, powerful queen of Carthage, a city she had founded after escaping the devastating of Troy and her enslaving and married by force. Strangely enough, her first husband did not survive. Second husband also did not survive. God knows why. Jupiter and Juno, especially Juno, who is jealous of Venus, protector and ancestor of Aeneas, are provoking intense love between Aeneas and Dido, so that Aeneas may not accomplish his mission. A hunting party is willfully disrupted by Jupiter, who sends a terrible storm. Hi! You know, just like in cinema, of course. The couple takes refuge in a nearby cave. Oh, there was only one cave. Sorry, only one cave for two. And they unite. Well, this word I should have censored. Aeneas spends the whole winter in the royal palace with her lover, his lover. Well, interea magnum misceri murmure caelum. I have spared you the 159 verses before. So you're lucky. The sky have begun to rumble. Peals of thunder first, then the storm breaking next. You know, real storm. And it was a hunting party, and the hunters, you know, they come back from the mountain, and they try to find shelter, and the poor couple, you know, they found only one little cave. So Dido and Troy's commander make their way to the same cave for shelter now. Primordial Earth and Juno, queen of marriage, not queen of love, queen of marriage. There is a difference. give the signal and lightning torches flare, and the high sky bears witness to the wedding. Nymphs on the mountain tops wail out the wedding hymn. Hymn in Greek, hymnos, was specially a marriage song. This was the first day of her death, the first of grief, the cause of it all. From now on, Dido cares no more for appearances, nor for her reputation. Either she no longer thinks to keep the affair a secret. No, she calls it a marriage, using the word to cloak her sense of guilt. Now the scene. Remember? We saw that yesterday. The commentary from the museum was totally wrong, by the way. Now you see the storm preparing. Here it's almost like Jupiter, you see? And the cave is somewhere there. Now the hunters, they are getting down from their horses. You know whom is this? Julius. He is now a young man. And who is this? Yes, Cupid. Yes. Remember? Eros, Cupid. So, Cupid is not alone. He has accomplices here. They lead the way to the cave. Yes, that's a good idea. Yes. So, you see, this scene has been shown many, many times. We have many paintings about it. Because, especially from the 17th century, in Europe, there is a new sensibility. And the king is a hero, of course, but the king is also a lover. Not a very faithful one, but doesn't matter. At least for the king. Nymph on the mountain tops wail out the wedding hymn. A nymph is a goddess, a little goddess. So there are goddesses for everything, everywhere. Rivers, the sea, you name it. Flowers, beautiful things. They are nymphs. So they sung for the wedding. This was the first day of her death, the first of grief, the cause of it all. Conubisque summoque olorarot vertice. You see, they are singing at the top of their voice, vertice, nymphs, from the mountain top, like vertical. Dido meditatur amorem conjugum vocat. Nec iam furtivum Dido meditatur amorem. So Dido thinks of her love as a marriage. It is a pretext, for hiding her shame. Now, this is a very interesting passage. And we can put the lights. Can you do? because, please do it. Yeah. Is it still readable? Now the title is mine. Fama ruit. Who is fama? Fama is bad fame, rumor, fake news. It already existed. You don't need computers, you don't need telephone for fake news. You just need mouth and ear. Now, after they have consuming their supposed marriage, you see, there is a big scandal. Fama ruit. Title is mine. I took it from Virgile himself. Whenever day is finished, he says, Nox oceano ruit. So the night rises from the ocean. Now, bad fame, bad name raises. It's quite interesting, you see. Straight away, rumor flies Libya's great cities. Carthago is in Africa, northern Africa, Libya. Rumor, swiftest of the great. She's the swiftest of the gods. You see, rumor, you cannot stop it. It is today, I mean, you don't even need a telephone. No frontier. Rumor, swiftest of the great evils in the world. She thrives on speed, stronger from every stride. You see, from every ear, from every mouth, the news becomes bigger and bigger. Slight with fear at least. You see, first of all, it is just, oh, you know, the Greek and the queen, oh, you know, yes, during the storm. And, oh, the queen, oh, the Trojan, oh, in the cave. No, it grows. Stronger from every side, slight with fear at first, soon soaring in the air. She treads the ground and hides her head in the clouds. She is the last, they say, our Mother Earth produced. Bursting in rage against the gods, she bore a sister for Coeson and Celadus. So, rumor, fama. Here I added the Latin word in the translation. This is from this book, you know, which I shamelessly copied. Rumor, fama, quicksilver afoot, and swift on the wing. She has winged. You see, bad news, they fly very quickly. A monster, horrific, huge, and under every feather of her body, what a marvel, an eye that never sleeps. You see? Rumor never sleeps, and many tongues, as many eyes, which is a reality. And as many raucous, you understand raucous? Bad voices, you know, strong. Raucous mouth and ears pricked for news. So many ears just pricked, ready for news, for bad news especially, juicy news. By night she flies aloft between the earth and sky, whirring across the dark, never closing her lids in soothing sleep. By day she keeps her watch, crouched on a peaked roof or palace turrets. You know, she's particularly fond of politics. That's why she's listening and shouting from the palace turrets even. Terrorizing the great cities, rumor is clinging as fast to her twisted lies as she clings to words of truth. You know, for rumor, there is no truth, there is no lie, there is only news. Now rumor is in her glory. This is my filling in red. Now rumor is in her glory, filling Africa's ears with tale on tale of intrigue, breathing her song of facts and falsehood mingled. Here, this Aeneas, born of Trojan blood, has arrived in Carthage, and lovely Dido deigns to join the man in wedlock. Even now, they warm the winter. Oh, such an image. They warm the winter. Love can be very powerful, you know. You don't need heat. Fama wrote some notes. Now, down to earth. People from Tyre, you see, because the bad news, they reached the king of Tyre, a city nowadays in Lebanon. And the king of Tyre, Yarbas, he did not like the thing at all. So he will become an enemy of the Trojans. Once a close ally of Carthage, it came under Roman rule in 64 BC and was renowned in Roman times for its textile and for a purple dye extracted from sea snails of the genus Murex. The dye was said to be worth more than its weight in gold, and purple cloth became a symbol of wealth and royalty. So you see, the Romans, even for a very, very late time, they refused the red color of royalty because that was Oriental. Later on, in Constantinople, with the second Oriental Roman Empire, which lasted up to 13th century after Christ, later on, the red becomes the color of the emperor, but not in the beginning. That was even forbidden. And later on, the emperor or the king is said natus in purpura, you know, born within the red color. Dardanus in Greek is the son of Zeus. So Dardanus should have been an ally of Aeneas, but he is not a very good ally, I would say. He was the ancestor of the Dardanians, the Troad, and through Aeneas of the Romans. My source here is Encyclopedia Britannica. Now, what about Iulius, or later Iulus? Ilion was the first name of Troy, Ilium. And Iulius is the son of Troy. And as you might remember, Julius Caesar, was belonging to a Roman family, the gens Iulia. Gens means generated. Gens means the extended family, or the tribe, if you want. And the gens Iulia was a very powerful family during Roman Republic. Of course, they would praise themselves as descendants of Troy, Ilion, Iulia. So Iulius, the son of Aeneas, is supposed to be also the ancestor of Augustus, who was the adopted son of Caesar. I know things may be complicated. You know, family matters, not easy, especially when they are fake. Aelius, or later Iulius, was the original name of Aeneas' son Ascanius. Iulius, or modern Julius, was the supposed ancestor of the noble Roman family, the gens Iulia, whose most famous heir was Julius Caesar, and also ancestor of Augustus, the future emperor, who was the adoptive son of Julius Caesar. Also note that Ilium is Troy, the city of Aelius. Alien means belonging to Ilium, Troyan. Commentary is mine here. Now, you may ask whatever question comes to your mind. We have a bit, or nearly 10 minutes. I'm listening. So everything is clear? I'm very happy. Yes? Speak louder to your grandfather, please.
Sir, in the life of Virgile, you mentioned Georgica, the manual of agriculture.
Yes.
So it was the imitation of some work or its original?
It was an imitation of Theocritus. No, Hesiod. Of Hesiod. Hesiodus was a Greek writer, but Virgile was more talented. Hesiodus was more technical for agriculture. Virgile had more talent, you know. That was more seducing. Yes, another question, please. सुशन साहिब, आपसे एक सवाल?
जी, मेरा क्या सवाल, मैं तो यही नहीं था।
Yes? किसी से कोई प्रश्न? Une question? A question? Only one? Just... So you have a right to criticize also. Because I may say wrong things, you know, it does happen. Because I made an effort to present the Aeneas, the Aeneid, but I have also flaws. Maybe you will find them tomorrow, maybe. So I understand you need to go. You're allowed to go. Are they? Thank you very much for your kind attention. Oh, I still have 3 minutes.
Yes, that's all.
Yeah. So, how come now you are... I don't know why all of a sudden you see, I commented again this famous scene, and what I would like to tomorrow prepare a few questions. Tomorrow we are going to talk about Camões' Portuguese Lusíadas, which bears many, many common points with Aeneids, willfully. So be ready. If you do not ask question, I might do. And I hope it will not be embarrassing. So have a pleasant lunch. Thank you for your patience.